All right, what's going on? I'm so happy to have you here to my presentation today, where we're going to be going over how a large component of your anxiety stems from one root cause. And with this information, you are going to be able to alleviate your anxiety and high stress in 14 days or less. And this is probably the most powerful presentation you're ever going to listen to on the subject of anxiety. So I'm super excited and looking forward to getting started. In this presentation, we're going to go over the major principles that allowed me to understand what was causing my anxiety. And really, with that awareness, it allowed me to engage in this amazing technique that allowed me to alleviate a lot of the anxiety that I was facing so I could finally get that long-lasting sense of relief that I was looking for. And you're going to realize after this presentation how a large number of symptoms, including anxiety, but these are symptoms of anything related to mental, emotional, or physical distress, are really linked to a root cause that is contributing at a very high level to the problems that you're probably dealing with. So my story, as you'll see on the photo of the left, I used to be a hockey player who experienced extreme muscle fatigue. And when I was 15 years old, I felt completely burnt out. My strength and my stamina was such at a low level compared to other people my age that this led me on a journey to really start to figure out what was going on here. Because at the time, no medical professionals knew what the issue was. And so I went on a journey of studying different books and trying to find what was causing my very real sense of chronic muscle fatigue. And I came across a book called The Divided Mind by Dr. John Sarno. If you want to make note of that right now, most of the principles I'm sharing with you are based around that book and from the information that comes from it. But this book opened up a completely new way of looking at my condition and at my symptoms. And with this understanding, it allowed me to just in a short period of 2 weeks, change my symptoms to the point where I alleviated most of the anxiety that was causing my very real muscle fatigue. And I suddenly experienced a giant improvement in my energy and my health, my happiness, and my overall quality of life improved. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the mind. And you're probably wondering, well, why are we looking at the mind? What does this have to do with the brain? Well, bear with me because this is going to make sense in a few minutes. So we really have two minds, okay? It's the conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And on a daily basis, most of us are engaged in thinking, in task, organizing, focusing, and that's really our conscious mind. We're not aware of all the other things that are actually in our brain. And that's where the subconscious mind comes in, because imagine an iceberg where the very tip is your conscious mind. And everything below it, 90% of what's there is the subconscious mind. And the great majority of what you're dealing with comes from your subconscious mind. And we're going to explore that in the next few slides. So in your subconscious mind, this holds everything to do with your beliefs at a deep level, your childhood, your trauma, anything that's negative that's happened to you in your life. And everything that you might be dealing with comes from this realm of psychology. Okay. And so ask yourself really quickly, which personality traits remind you most of yourself? Because if you're like me, I identified super strongly with all of the following. I was a perfectionist. I put great demands on myself to perform well. I was extremely motivated to do good and to be liked by others. I was very sensitive to criticism, but I also was my own severest critic. I had deep down feelings of inferiority out in public and just when I was around other people. And all this caused a low self-esteem. And I was also aware that I had deep feelings of things like guilt, things like shame, things like really unresolved rage that had never come out before. And if any of this reminds you of yourself, I just want you to put a little check mark beside each list, each section that's right in front of you here today, because the ones you resonate with are the ones that we're looking for. And so where really do these traits show up most in your life? Do they come from childhood, your upbringing? Did your parents put a lot of pressure on you to do well in school or to be a certain way? Did your family members often engage in that kind of high expectations setting for yourself? Did you often maybe not have a a voice? Because when I was a younger person, I experienced a lot of that. I experienced some peer pressure. And also, if you have anything like this and you look back and you think about your home life, was there conflict between you and a parent? Was there, a lot of conflict between your siblings? Did you have a difficult relationship with anybody in particular? And we're really trying to identify where these traits show up most often in your life, because you're going to see in a second how that relates to your anxiety. So maybe right now in work or career, you've worked really hard to get to the place that you're in, or you're not doing so well and there's some frustration around that. So really anything out of these four bubbles that brings up negativity and negative emotions, negative feelings, negative thoughts, I want you to just draw these bubbles, and I want you to make a quick note beside each one. And in your personal life, is there something going on that is putting a lot of stress on you? Anything that you can think of that, you're upset about, you're struggling with, you're grappling with, or you're just not really ready to come to term with, I want you to write it down. And that's because the power of our emotions are absolutely incredible. So when we take a look at the mind, we're primarily thinking about where in our life could we be experiencing difficult situations that are causing a lot of negative feelings, negative attitudes, negative emotions. So as we go through our life and we accumulate more anger or rage that stems from childhood or some sort of really, really early on stage in our life, we just experience more, and that piles on, and the accumulation of this can create symptoms. The accumulations of this, all of this, can lead to mental health issues, can lead to emotional health issues, and specifically can lead to anxiety. So take a look and think back in your life to those early on memories, maybe some circumstances where you felt intense pain or sadness, and just make a quick note of this down on a piece of paper. This is really important that you do this, so make sure that you're following through. Did you put a lot of pressure on yourself at certain points in your life? What were those instances? Make a quick note so you can write it down. And the power of our emotions can impact how we behave, how we react in our environment, what we get out of life, and it can also impact our brain chemistry, because the neurotransmitters in our brain can come from or can be influenced by the power of emotions. So you're going to just think about one topic that you can really pinpoint that was a source of emotional anger or pain or sadness. And for me, it was the pressures I put on myself as a goalie when I was playing hockey. I set such high standards of myself to really make amazing saves and win games for the team, that was a source of a lot of pressure, and that pressure created anger for me. And so you have to really realize that the subconscious mind, when you add pressure, that pressure creates anger, and that's a sense of rebellion inside the brain, and that can trigger things like depression, anxiety, and a lot of other mental health issues. So just put a quick star beside the topic that you're willing or open enough to focus on in a little bit, and we're going to come back to that in a minute. So my story involved, like I said earlier, going from playing hockey to experiencing a massive decrease in my level of fatigue, my discomfort, and my anxiety. And so what you really have to do when we're looking at the next exercise is I want you to think about how badly you want your symptoms to go away. Are you willing to do something that's a bit unconventional? Are you willing to try something outside the box? Are you willing to do something that you might not have heard before, that you might think is silly or hokey, and give it a shot? Because this is really your story. This is really your life. And if you want to experience a decrease in your anxiety, I highly encourage you to try what I tried, because it made a massive difference for me. And temporarily thinking about these subjects and writing about them in thorough detail is going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be pleasant. But as you continue to dig deep and let those emotions flow onto paper, you will notice a transformation. You will notice a difference in your attitude, in your mood, in your state. and it's going to be amazing, guys. So please take this journey. And so my transformation really comes down to what a technique like this can do for you. And the next steps are for you to agree that you're willing to embark on a challenge to decrease your anxiety, to bring more ease into your life. And I want you to review this personal list of circumstances every single day. You don't have to think a lot about this, but every day for at least 10 or 15 minutes, come back to that list of core circumstances that you think have led to a lot of emotional discomfort, and just give them some thought. Think back a little bit, be self-reflective, and I want you to really embark on a journey to release that anxiety in the form of uh, this writing technique. And so the last thing I'll leave you with is that for every single day, for the next 14 days, I want you to commit to yourself. If you can commit for the next 14 days to taking one of those topics each day and writing a paragraph or 2 paragraphs and delving into those intense feelings, those feelings that are buried underneath the surface, there will be such a transformation in your life. There will be such a shift. I promise you, if you take this bravery, if you are courageous enough to do this, and you experience what those feelings were like, and you work through it by writing, and you just let your thoughts flow, move the pencil, move the pen, and don't let it stop. Just allow yourself to get in a state of flow and allow those thoughts and feelings to come out naturally as they do. And you'll notice emotions might start to come up, but eventually as you keep writing, you'll experience a massive difference. And it made a massive difference for my life. So if you're ready to do this, I want you to comment underneath this video, ready for relief, in the comment section right now. Say, I am ready for relief, and start this exercise, this technique. It'll only take you 10 or 15 minutes. And I cannot wait to hear how this helps you, how this benefits you, and how your life changes moving forward. So without further ado, the work is up to you. And I hope it goes well. Take care now. Thanks. Bye.